Hello everyone, welcome to the Financial Information channel. My name is Marvin. In this video I'm going to be analyzing the stock market and I'm going to give you my opinion on how the stock market has moved during the last few weeks. Now you have to keep in mind that the stock market is kind of like a roller coaster. Most of the time the stocks are going to move up, but we as humans tend to look more when the stock market moves down. That is something psychological in my opinion. And even though the stock market is negative, there are a lot of opportunities, especially right now with some of the companies that have been going on sale. You just have to find some hidden gems and do some research on those companies. But now let's go to the computer so I can start analyzing some of the companies and the stock market. Okay, so now that we're at the computer, we're gonna take a look how the stock market has been doing during the last few weeks. And the first thing I'm gonna do is review the stock market, especially in the index, and the first is gonna be the Dow. Now you can see this is the Dow stock chart, and now you can see back in November, let me pull up a sign from November. The stock market wasn't moving as much. I would say it was moving gradually, like this. For example, this is not a huge jump like when you see here back from December. Even though that we had a lot of sell-off during December, the stock market, especially the Dow, continued to move up. Now when the stock market moved almost to the 27,000 like you see here, you expect to see a little bit of a sell-off, especially because we had a lot of earnings happening during the next few weeks. So I would expect the stock market to come back probably around the 2,500, right in this line, even if the company reported good earnings, because that usually what happens when the earnings season kicks off. Now, and we came back at around the 24,000, and even at this line, the stock market is still overbought in my opinion. I think that we could see another pullback and the stock market come back around the 24, and that was the levels that we had back in November. But look at the selling volume. The selling volume right here has been mostly negative during the last few days. And that is a sign to be very cautious because you don't never know what's going to happen in the stock market. However, if the stock market pulls back like I mentioned here at these levels, then that would present a good opportunity around the 2,300, I would say. Now this is the S&P 500, and as you can see this has been more volatile than the Dow, and it's kind of worrisome when you see, because look at this moving from I guess 2016 to November 2016. The S&P wasn't moving as high, but when you can see from 2018, especially in January, look at this move. That is a huge move, especially only for a few weeks, you know. And of course, after we saw the huge sell-off, the companies were moving back to the normal price. Now this actually has a lot of support around 255, I would say. But especially this support doesn't mean that the stocks won't continue dropping down, because it has support around the 260, 267, and I was expecting actually maybe the stocks, you know, pull back again and maybe had another sell-off, especially since we have a lot of earnings, and then maybe come back to around 251. However, it ignored this support, you know, that it had around the 267, and it moved down all the way to around 255. We're almost at 255. Now if it continues dropping, then we can see another 5 to 7%, and the S&P 500 could go all the way to 247. Now the volume has been mostly mixed, but as you can see here, there has been more people selling than buying stocks. I would expect the companies to move sideways and get some sideways support, because that is needed in case we don't move down even more to around the 247. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq. Now the Nasdaq should be more volatile than the Dow and the S&P 500 because it has a lot of technology companies. Now you can see in the stock chart, the stocks actually have been moving down. Let's look at this movement. Let's get this message. Look, this is kind of like a healthy runs, because it doesn't move as much, you know. It has been moving up, but at the same time it has been pulling back, you know, and that's what you want to see in some of those instances, because you don't want to see a company or specifically index to move up quite a huge amount, especially at this, you know, in January. Look at this move. Wow, that's how many? That's like a 12-point move in a couple of weeks. That's kind of bad in my opinion. But now let's take a look at the pullback that we had right at the end of January. And as you can see, this happens during earnings. In the volume, you can get an idea how the investors are thinking about the technology stocks in the next few weeks. And as you saw, after the first, I would say 2 weeks in January, there was starting to see some, selling off of the technology companies. Look at this. And this was right at the peak when the technologies were continue moving up. And you can get an idea here that this is so you can get a sign that to be cautious, because you could see a pullback. Now during this week, I think during the third week in January, we were going to have a lot of companies reporting earnings. Now during earnings, you see a lot of swing traders sell a lot of position because they expect a lot of volatility during the next few weeks, and especially during the technology companies. Now you can see here we had a lot of pullback, and that is because we had a lot of sell-off of the stock selling off. Even at the support that we had around the 157, 156, the price actually continued moving down. And I think if we had another week of bad earnings of some of the key companies, we can see the stocks pull back around the 153. But if you pay attention to the volume, it has been positive 2 out of the last 4 trading days. And actually, it kind of gets an idea that there are good values, especially in some of the technology companies. Now, one of the last things I'm going to look is the volatility index, which is the VIX. Now, you can see here, the volatility has been mostly, in the 14, 13, 12. I remember that I did a video when the volatility index was under 10. It was around this area. And I was worried because when you see a volatility index this price, then it means that we could see a lot of sell-off, in the next few weeks. Now this moment, right during the last few weeks, you saw a huge jump all the way to almost, look at the almost 50. It almost hit 50 volatility index. Now you could see that it's gonna getting an area around the 29. I think the most likely scenario is that it's gonna come back, and it's probably gonna be around the 20 to 22. However, around the 20 to 22, that is still high in my opinion. I would prefer if the big pull back around the 20, move up a little bit, get some volatility during the next week, and then move down more and be there around the 15 to 17, which this would be kind of like a good spot to be during the next few weeks. And that would probably have the stock market come back to a really good levels. And why the volatility index so important is because when you see a huge jump, that's because a lot of investors tend to sell the stocks, and it creates panic in the stock market. Now the last thing I'm gonna cover is Snapchat. And Snapchat actually had good earnings. They beat the earnings, and the earnings were kind of impressive. Now I'm gonna take a look at the stock chart, and as you can see, based on the how the company was moving during the last few weeks, the company was moving down, even though that was kind of surprising, because when a company is about to report earnings, most of the time the company tends to move up. Now you can see, before they announced earnings during February, the company share was around the $14 price, and I think at this moment that was kind of low in my opinion, even though the company hasn't been doing that well during the last few months. I was expecting the company to beat the earnings and move around the $17 price. However, when they beat the earnings, and they actually had good earnings, and the company share price move up all the way to the $21 to $20 price. I'm going to break down the earnings in an upcoming video so you can get an idea how the company did during the last quarter. However, I expect the company shares to pull back. There's a gap that needs to be filled between the 16 all the way to around the 20th. I think the company probably will pull back, even though the company had good earnings, and probably move sideways around this area. You see, between the 16 to 18, that would be a consolidation, movement. And I did a video a while back, a few months back, mentioning the best price to buy Snapchat shares. That price, I don't think is gonna happen around the $10 price. So I'm gonna make an updated video. When is the best price to start buying shares, if that's what you want for this company. And the next company that I'm gonna cover earnings, I think they're gonna report earnings either next week or the following is gonna be about soon. Let's check when they're gonna report earnings. Let's go to the investor relation page and find out the exact date when they're gonna release the earnings. So they don't have the earnings announcement on their main page. I believe that I made a video a couple months back when the Nasdaq website had the wrong earning dates. So I'm gonna wait for this company to report the earnings and announce it here on the website, and I'm gonna cover the earnings so you can get an idea how the company is gonna do during the next few months. And as you can see right now, the price is around the $34 price. I remember that I saw a chart, and I did a chart about this company, that it has a resistance around the $40 price. So we will see how it does during the next few weeks. And that is gonna be everything for the video. Please leave a like if you find this video helpful, or a dislike if you didn't like it. In the meantime, you can subscribe to the financial information channel. I'm gonna continue bringing videos about the stock market, personal finance, and how to make money online. I wanna thank you once again for watching the video. Have an excellent day and take care, my friends.